Hi everyone, my name is Queen Shokan from Anima Anatomia, and today we will discuss about the vertebral column, that is also known as the spine, backbone or the spinal column. It is the central part of the human skeleton which helps in the protection of the spinal cord, and it also supports the head. So let's dive into the learnings of the vertebral column.
So let's start the vertebral column. So the vertebral column starts with 33 number initially, but it reduced to 24 number, plus the sacrum and the coccyx. After the fusion, they are like last two bones get fused together and forms sacrum and coccyx. The vertebral column is divided according to the name and the number. It is divided into 5 regions: cervical, thorax, lumbar, sacrum, coccyx. Cervical are 7 in number, C1 to C7. The C1 and C2 vertebra are like different in their structure. They are C1 with the articulation of occipital, condyle, and of the skull, and C2 vertebra also. So if I talk about thoracic, it is on the thoracic region. That's why it's called thoracic vertebra. It's below the cervical region. Lumbar are 5 in number. They have large body and they are in the lower back portion. And if I talk about the sacrum and coccyx, they are 5 fusion of sacral vertebra. They form the few. The fusion start at the age of 20 and complete at the mid age. And coccyx form the fusion by 4 coccygeal vertebrae. If I talk about mammalian anatomy, almost mammals have 7 vertebral cervical vertebra, regardless of the size. Example: giraffe. It have long neck, also have 7 cervical vertebra, but it have 11 inches tall. Well, it means like he has 7 vertebra, but he have long length of them. So this is the typical structure of the. So let's have a look on a typical vertebra. So all vertebra have similar structure according to them. They have body, they have vertebral arc. They vertebral arc. This is a vertebral arc, and they have several processes like transverse process, spinous process. And if I talk about the body, it is present at the portion, anterior portion, and it support the body weight. Vertebral body increase the size and thickness as we go descendingly. So uh, if I talk about arc, the form of arc is posterior portion of each vertebra, composed of 4 parts. The two pedicles. These are the two pedicles and two lamina. These are the two laminas, as you can see here. As you can see, furthermore, there are these type of projection outcome from this vertebra. These are the processes. These are the transverse process coming transversely, and this is the spinous process. This is the almost the typical vertebra structure. So
So have a look over this vertebra. This is the spinous process. These two literally located are the transverse process. This is the superior articular process. These two. This is the vertebral arc formed by the two pedicles and the two laminas over here. And this is the vertebral foramen from where the spinal cord will pass. This is the body of the vertebra. And here, this is the inferior articular process.
So let's have a look on cervical vertebra. So cervical vertebra, as you can see the difference clearly, its spinous process is bifid. Bifid means it's Y shape, and its transverse process are U shaped. As you can see in the last typical vertebra, it's straight. Both processes are straight, and you can see the body size. It's the minimum body size of the vertebral column. They have the minimum body size of the vertebral column. They are in the what we say in they are in the neck region, so they don't have to lift heavy weights. That's why the body is shorter. The superior articular process are flat and they are on the upper side, and the inferior as well as flatted and at the lower side. If I talk about the two main vertebrae, C1 and C2, they are the most different type of vertebra in our body. The first one is atlas and second one is axis. If I talk about the structure, first come on the atlas. This is, as you can see the difference, there is no spinous process over here. There is no body over here. This is not the body. This is the dense body of the axis. Let's let's have a look on axis. So if I talk about it, have the axis word is like just it act as a axis head for the head rotation. We have the dense body over here, the atlas. It it is placed over here, and it rotate the neck. It is distinguished on the basis of its dense body, this, and the bony projection over that is this. So basically, this is the main difference of the atlas and this. And these are here we have little foramens, transverse foramen for the nerve pass out.
So let's have a look on the structure of the typical cervical vertebra. So this is the body of the vertebra. This is the transverse process, transverse foramen from where the important artery supplying the brain passes. This is the superior articular process. This is the lamina. Here also lamina, pedicle, pedicle. This is the vertebral foramen. This bifid shaped process is also known as the spinous process. So this was the typical structure of a cervical vertebra. Coming to the C1, that is the atlas, these two are the superior articular process. This is the posterior side. These are the transverse process, transverse foramen, vertebral foramina. This is the C2 vertebra, that is the axis. This is the special structure dens, which is basically the odontoid process, a bony projection that it extends upward from the body. This one is the body and it extends upward from the body. This dens will helps in the articulation with the C1 and is secured by the transverse ligament. This is the superior articular facets. This here will be the transverse foramen and here will be the extension of the transverse process, and this is the spinous process. Here will be the lamina and here the pedicles. So the articulation will be like this. Like this, the C1 and the C2 will be articulated.
So let's move on the thoracic vertebra. The thoracic vertebra, if I talk about the body, they have large body. If I compare to the cervical one, these are located on the thoracic region. The region we have lungs and rib cage. If I talk about the spinous process, you can see the spinous process are very much long as compared to the cervical. But the main difference is they have costal facet. These are the costal facet. These are responsible for the attachment of the rib over here. Uh, this is the lamina. This is the superior articular process. This is for the upper vertebra to attach. And we have inferior articular process also. This one is the inferior articular process. This is the inferior costal facet. Uh, this is the body. And this is the intravertebral disc. This is the pedicle. And that's all about it. This is the, as we can see, this is the typical thoracic vertebra. As you can see, as you can see, this is the rib, typical rib. This is the angle of the rib, and this is the head of the rib. This is the head of the rib. It is attached to the thoracic inferior uh, costal facet and of this vertebra, and this is the tubercle of the rib, which is attached to this transverse process of the rib, process of the vertebra. So this is how a rib. So let's have a look on this picture. This is the body. As you can see, it's very much different from the cervical one. This second one portion is the articular facet for the ribs. As you can see here, they are articulated with the ribs at this portion. The seven numbering is it is the inferior articular process for the vertebral below. The name inferior is for the down portion, like it is in the down portion, and this one is for the superior. articular facet for the rib. The fourth one is articulation is for the ribs. Here you can see the tubercle of the rib is attached. This one is the transverse process. This one is the spinous process.
So let's have a look over the structure of the thoracic vertebrae. This one is the body of the thoracic vertebra. This is the spinous process. Here two laminas, two pedicles. These ones are the transverse process, the superior articular processes. Then there are the facets. This one is the articular facets for the tubercle of the ribs, and here are the two inferior costal facets.
Let's move to the lumbar. Lumbar is at the lower back portion. It is responsible for the lifting of most of the body weight. That's why the body is much more thicker. If you can see, the body is much more thicker here. The spinous we have spinous process also here. The transverse process are much smaller. This is the foramen of the vertebra. These are the corpus of vertebra, and what we say here, second, this one are the process, articular process. Sixth one, this one is the lamina. So if I talk about the basic characteristics of this lumbar vertebra, they are largest and thickest vertebral body to carry the most of the body weight. The transverse process are short. The spinous process is also short and blunt and projected posteriorly. All spinous process projected posteriorly. Articular process are superior, face upward. Inferior are facing forward. Superior process are backward. As you can see, the spinous process here, they are blunt. These are the spinous process. This is the vertebral disc. This is the
So let's have a look over the structure of the lumbar vertebrae. This is the body of the lumbar vertebrae. This one is the spinous process, which is short, blunt and projects posteriorly. This one is the superior articular process. This is the laminae. These are the pedicles. This will be the transverse process, and this is the vertebral foramen.
So let's move to the sacrum and the coccyx. So let's start with the general characteristics of the sacrum. It's triangular shaped bone, superior back base is thick, weight bearing, in inferior axis tapered, and non-weighted bearing. It is a fusion of 5 sacral vertebra after the age of 20. As I mentioned earlier, it is made by fusion of bone. As you can see here, they are fused together.
So let's start with the anterior view of the sacrum and the coccyx. This one is the apex and this one is the coccyx part. This one is the body of the first sacral vertebra and this one is the sacral promontory. These are the transverse ridges and these are the anterior sacral foramina. Moving towards the posterior view of the sacrum and the coccyx, this is the medial sacral crest. This one is the medial sacral crest that is formed by the fusion of the spinous process. This is the lateral sacral crest that is formed by the fusion of the transverse processes. These holes are the posterior sacral foramina. This one is the sacral hiatus. Here is the sacral canal. Then these are the this one and this one are the auricular surfaces. These two are the facets of the superior articular process and this one is the body.
Okay.